evening. Does anybody out there hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we hear you. I hear you.
Yeah,
Okay,
hello.
very good. Okay, it's nice to. Oh, look at that! There are even live people here. Okay,
More.
no, I said live people. There's something I
Oh,
can see that.
live. I thought you said
Live.
five.
No, live people here.
Live, yeah.
Okay. There's two different subjects that I'd like to say some divrei chizuk for preparation for Rosh Hashanah, and I also would like to discuss a little bit of the halachas that are relevant this year as opposed to other years. So I'm going to start with the halachas and try to make it short. I'm not going to get involved in all the Rosh Hashanah halachas. Just this year, being that this year is Rosh Hashanah that's on Shabbos, there are a few things, few minor issues which are relevant, and some ladies may end up davening at home when they usually daven in shul, and because of that, they have to be on top of their machzor better than they are regularly. If we have a situation that you're davening at home, you have to make sure, and anybody, in my opinion, who has those kind of stickers to put into their machzor, to make sure to put on the place to mention the things for Shabbos, because it's not just Rosh Hashanah, it's Shabbos also, and a person who deletes the mentioning Shabbos altogether in Shemona Esrei has to do it all over again, and it's a long haul. So better do it right the first time. You don't have to have chazoros shots at home. You can just do it right the first time. That's first of all. Second of all, when you light the candles, you say the Kavod Shabbos, Ladek Neshel Shabbos v'Yom Tiv. And it's also questionable if you said the wrong bracha, what to do. Make sure you say the right bracha. That's important. And I'm saying this is very important, even though the custom about Tkiyah Shofar is that women accept it upon themselves as a chova in a case of illness, or what we'll call it halachically an onus, people who are forced not to be able to attend shul or not able to hear the shofar for whatever reason it may be. This year there's more leniency, and those who are not going to be going to shul because of health concerns, they are probably pater from going to get somebody to blow for them the shofar. Obviously, if you can work it out, you can hear it from your balcony, whatever it is, and that would be wonderful. But you're not mechuyev to go the 7 seas to hear the Tkiyah shofar this year, even though on a regular year you would do that. It's very important. A person shouldn't lose the proportional understanding of what our obligation is. On Motzei Shabbos, before the second day, before Malacha is done, make sure that a person says Baruch Hamavda Ben Kodesh LaKodesh. You're not allowed to do any Malacha before Havdalah is said. If the only Malacha that you want to do is something that is technically permissible on Shabbos, just you're preparing for the next day. In other words, you want to wash dishes, or you want to do something that or make your room tidy, that is permissible to be done on Shabbos or Shabbos. If you're doing that on Yom Tiv, that may be done before saying Baruch Hamalda Ben Kodesh LaKodesh. But I urge that everybody should really say it anyways, because you're probably going to end up doing something which is forbidden to be done on Shabbos. So just say it in advance. That's all. It's very important to say it in advance. Also important, if a person who has the minig to say Shechiyanu when they light candles, some people have the minig with the say Shechiyanu when they light candles. Some people are yetz with their husband. Maybe we discussed this a few years ago. Not getting involved in that discussion. But if your minig is to say Shechiyanu, you cannot make a Tanai and do malacha on Erev Shabbos after Adlakas Neiros. It's not like a regular Shabbos. One has to accept upon themselves Shabbos and Yontif, and you cannot do any malacha. So make sure you have it all done before you start. Okay, that's the just some important halachas for this year. Now I'd like to speak a little bit about preparation for Rosh Hashanah. If someone wants to ask something, I can't hear you.
Can I just ask?
The question is on when you're davening at home by yourself, how much of Chazaras Hashatz are you allowed to say?
The piyutim, those tefillas, I think you're allowed to say them. Okay? No, the Chazaras Hashatz technically just means repeating the Shemona Esrei. You're not supposed to repeat the Shemona Esrei at all. That's obviously. But those tefillas, they may be said. And I would like to suggest something, and I gave this to somebody as an idea. And those who have daughters, those that have sons, some people, all kinds of people in Bitud that are healthy actually, and that they're being in lockdown at home. It sounds very funny, but from my most moving days of the year is Tisha B'Av. And the reason why Tisha B'Av is so meaningful to me is because I have to prepare for it a lot. And being that I have to prepare for it a lot, I'm locked into the mood, the tefillas, the kiddush that are said. I think it's worthwhile for anybody that's going to be at home and not going to be able to be in shul, that they take the time out before Rosh Hashanah and look the machzor over. If you have an art scroll machzor or something like that, just look at some of the commentaries beforehand and start to think about it. And when you'll come on and leaf through on Rosh Hashanah itself, it'll make those tefillas that much more meaningful to you. So that's, I think, really a worthwhile thing to do. Okay? Anybody else want to ask something? Okay? Fine. All right. So I'm going to discuss a idea in preparation for Rosh Hashanah. In actuality, many people, they feel inadequate. We didn't really prepare for Rosh Hashanah the way we're supposed to. And we come to the Yom Hadin and we feel a little bit like fakers. We didn't really do tshuva. We're about to start right now and we're ready up to asking HaKadosh Baruch Hu that He should give us what we need. We should have gezunt, we should have parnasa, we should have health. What's supposed to be our attitude? And I believe that for women it's especially challenging. Those who can't get to shul, that they find themselves doing very mundane things on such a special day. And it's difficult. What is supposed to be our attitude? How are we supposed to look at ourselves and our preparation or lack thereof for the Yom Hadin? There's a mashal which is said about the king that had a son that was a spoiled brat. We'll just use that term. And his father banished him from the kingdom, and he fell into bad company. And he went from worse to worser until he was a crude teenager. You hear his father's coming to that neck of the woods, and he decided he's going to plead his case to his father that he take him back. And he's on his way to his father, and his friend says, "Where are you going?" And he says, "I'm going to the king, my father. I'm going to ask him, they have Rahmanas on me." So he says, "You can't go to the king like that. You don't look like a prince. You're wearing crude peasant's clothing." So he says, "What are you talking about? My father, he knows how I dress. He knows what I do. That's why he threw me out. He knows I'm a bum." So the fellow tells him, "It doesn't make a difference. You're going to the palace. You're going as your father's son. You have to go like a mensch. Get yourself a clean shirt, a pair of pants with a crease in them, and go like a mensch. And that way your father will usher you in, and maybe you'll have Rahmanas." And he was successful. The nimshol is obvious. Yes, we are HaKadosh Baruch Hu's children, and yes, He knows what we're really like inside, but we're coming on Rosh Hashanah. We should come with bright, shiny faces. We should come looking the parts of Banim Lamokom. That's part of our job. Just like that son, that wayward son, when he went to his father, he looked the part of being the prince. So too, each person on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, they have to look the part of being the Ben Melech. Im kibanim, karachem aval b'nai. So look the part, look like you're part of the family. Your attitude, the way you carry yourself, what you talk about on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, even if that's not really where you are, if you fake it, then you'll make it. You'll have your audience with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and Mirz Hashem, you'll be zeicha to have a ksibach siva tova. Now, I just want to mention something, and the Haftarah, which is said on Rosh Hashanah, we discussed Chana and her trials, having children, and her tefillos, and the makor of tefillah, how Shemona Esrei is supposed to be said, is learned from Chana. And the Mefarshim tell us that women have a koach of tefillah, women have the ability to cry, they are more emotional, and that can actually do what men can't do in their tefillahs. So it's not just that you should daven for yourself, you should daven for your husband. The Pele Yoetz writes about this extensively. The job of every Isha Kshera is to follow for her husband, to follow for her children, and I'm sure you all do it. But this year in particular, with this extra stress, and I know that I've been asked by some people, should I go to shul and daven and be petrified, or should I stay at home and daven at ease without kavanah? These are difficult questions to answer. It's your job as women to do what women can do best. Your job is to daven at whatever level you can do it, and whether it's for yourself, for your family, for your community, for Klal Yisrael. I would just want to share with you, there was a man that I knew when I was growing up, a wonderful man. This man was a Baal Tshuva, became a Baal Tshuva about 1930, well before it was in style. When he was a youngster, he saw Kaiser Wilhelm I, a fascinating, intelligent German Jew. And in his old age, he had a placard made, Shomer Yisrael, Shomer Sheretz Yisrael. He said, I don't have any family. Somebody has to daven for Klal Yisrael. And he would daven for Klal Yisrael. This Jew, this simple Jew without any family, he felt it his responsibility to daven for Klal Yisrael. Each one of you have people that you're there to represent, and your tefillahs should be the kind of tefillahs that will make a difference, not only for you, but it'll make a difference for everybody else around you. One of the depressing things that Rosh Hashanah brings to us, and preparation of Rosh Hashanah, is that we degenerated from last year, Matzah Yom Kippur, to where we are today. We fell off. We fell off of our commitments. We fell off of our zeal, our interest, our focus. And I want to talk a little bit about how to get back on track. Hakina, hataiva, v'hakovod, motziin es ha'odam min ha'olam. Kina, taiva, and kavod, jealousy, desire, and honor, remove a person from the world. Which world? What are we talking about? What does it mean a person is removed from the world? I'll share with you something which I heard somebody that I know very well. He was by the Slonim Rebbe, not the Nesivos Shalom, not the one today, not the Nesivos Shalom, the one beforehand. Well, he was a very old man. He was in his 90s when he died. And this young man came in and told him, it says, Ben Meya over ubatum in ha'olam. The Mishnah Pirkei Avos says a person is 100, he is over ubatum, which means in the vernacular, it means he's out of it. And this saintly man who had his wits about him said, I want to share with you my understanding. I take a look at the world today. I don't get it. Not the Yetzer Hara, not the Yetzer Tov. It doesn't speak to me. The world that's out there today just doesn't speak to me. I feel over ubatum and oilam. I'm functioning, I'm fine. My Yetzer Haras are still there intact. My Yetzer Tov is still there intact. But what's going on for other people, what's moving them, just doesn't talk to me. That means everybody has their world, their things. And each person, each woman, each man, when they build a home, they have ideas and ideals of what they want their home to be. And yet, there are things that happen that cause us to lose focus. Ovar ubatal min ha'olam means there's a diversion from purpose that we set out for ourselves. That is dangerous. And I'm going to use this example because I know women love this example or hate this example. I'm not sure which one it is exactly. You decide to go on a diet. And then someone in your family is having a birthday, and then you make a cake. And there's an Isser Yichud for a lady on a diet and a piece of cake to be in the same room because it's very difficult to overcome. And the person, Nebuch, falls victim to the piece of cake, and they eat it. That person is lost their world. They had a vision, they had a focus, they had a purpose. And when they ate that piece of cake, they lost it. That's taiva. The taiva can cause the person to lose focus of what's really important to them. And the same is true, I'm just using that as a simple example. The same is true whether it's covered, whether it's kina. There's an expression in English which I think is amazing because it says so much and it's really a horrible statement. People buy things they don't need with money they don't have to please people they don't like. Again, you buy things you don't need with money you don't have to please people you don't like. That is horrible. I don't have a better word to use to describe that, but I don't think that I have to work so hard to get you to know what I'm talking about. I think that this is something which we all recognize this danger. We are just suffering because we put ourselves in environments that make us lose our focus. Right now, we're before Rosh Hashanah. We're trying to get into focus. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get into focus. Into focus means that we stop to think about what is important to us. It's not difficult to do tshuva. It's difficult to get on the page. It comes before Yontif, and you have to go shopping. You make a shopping list. You go through your house, take inventory, and you make your menus, and you put the two together, you correlate them, and out comes a shopping list of what you need to get. If you're a good shopper, all you do is you go to the supermarket, you buy what you need because of what you envision your yontif is supposed to be, and you come home. If you're a bad shopper, so then as you turn every aisle, you look at those things that are on sale. As you look through the shop, the center, that's called, it's entrapment. A supermarket is entrapment to get you to buy things that you don't need. Okay? Here we are. We're going to start getting ready for Rosh Hashanah. We have an obligation to make a list. What is it that I can do to keep me in focus for the next 15 days? We have 15 days till Yom Kippur. Now, in order to know what is it that's going to get me in focus, we have to first know what is it that I want to be, what's going to be called success. When I come Motzei Yom Kippur, and someone's going to say, were you successful this Aseres Yemei Tshuva? And you'll say to yourself, what you say to that person is not of interest to me. But you'll say to yourself, yes or no, depends. You have to set aside for yourself right now a realistic idea. The realistic idea that you're setting aside for yourself is, what can I do to keep myself in focus next year? That's what we're trying to do. These days, we have 15 days. All that we have to do is keep in focus. And we're going to use this as an example. Person says, I'm going to make a bracha twice a day with kavanah. I promise you, you will make a bracha more than twice a day with kavanah. Because when you feel that responsibility, the things that happen differently. I heard once from a Rebbitzin something fascinating. And I'd like to share it with you because I think that I have a way to upscale one of the things that we like to do a lot. This Rebbitzin said, Chazal tell us, Tisha kav imsicha, asar kav imsicha nitin la'olam, Tisha l'noshim. There were 10 measures of talk that were given to the world, and women took 9 of the 10. Now, this is indeed a very difficult question, which I have. I see many men who can't stop talking too. It's true that there are many women that talk a lot, but I don't see the par, unfortunately, as great as that Maimar Chazal seems to say. Until I hit upon something which is amazing, and this has to do with the natural makeup of women. A lady is putting away her groceries, and she has children around. As she's putting them away, she's telling the kids about this grocery, this, you make a cake with this, and this, you do that. And whatever she's doing, she's explaining and telling and teaching to somebody else. And somebody come by and say, what are you doing? That kid doesn't understand. And the lady will say, just stop it. Right? That's a normal thing. That's a normal woman thing to do. So they're talking, and that talking seemingly has no purpose. It has a purpose. It has a purpose, and that's how they teach. A woman is going to make a cake. She's going to clean for Shabbos. She has the opportunity to say beforehand, I'm doing this l'koved hamitzvah. I'm not just cleaning up. I'm doing it with a focus, with a purpose, and turns it into a mitzvah. Then she becomes, her house became her sanctuary. She feels like she is the one who ushers in Shekhinah into her house. And sometimes a lady calls her friend, she's working, she wants to pass the time. She calls her friend to just have a diversion. Before you make that phone call and have a diversion, just think, can I say something to my friend that'll make her feel better? It doesn't have to be a Dvar Torah. You could just think, I saw you last night, and you told me this idea and it made me feel very good, or that dress that you were wearing was very nice. Whatever it is. Stop before you meet your friend and say hello, and think, how can I turn this opportunity into a mitzvah factory? These small ideas, doesn't take much, will keep you in focus. And Ritz Hashem, if you're in focus, your tefillas on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur will be with enthusiasm. You prepared, you looked at them, you thought about them, and whether you're davening at home, whether you're davening in shul, it doesn't really make a difference. It's always a challenge. When somebody's in shul, it's a challenge because the tzibur is carrying you, and you're not really sure, are you davening? You're just coming along for the ride. And when you're davening at home, you have to carry yourself, but it's very lonely. you should know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu from Shemayim understands that each and every one of us have our nisyonis. And sometimes we have to do things which are unglorified. And they're a disturbance from what we would imagine our avodas Hashem should be. But if that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us as our avodas Hashem, whether it's to daven at home, sometimes to go and be with somebody sick, sometimes to go and visit somebody to cheer them up, and instead of doing something else you wanted to do, if that's the mitzvah that came your way, obviously that's the avodas Hashem which HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants you to have. If we accept those opportunities and we make them into something that keeps us in focus in our lives, mitzvah Hashem, we should be zeicha to be benched with a year of success in all that we do. We should all be zeicha to have a ksiva achsima tova, and anybody who has any questions, you can feel free to ask. Okay, I'll stay on. Whatever. If nobody has any questions, that's fine. That's fine too.
Can I ask something?
Yeah. Please.
Hi. What?
Please ask. Yeah.
Can I ask something? Oh, okay. I wanted to ask you something, but I wanted to ask you, it's not kosher to everyone. It's more specific.
Okay,
so should I stay on or should I call you?
Each one, well, either one, but I guess wait, we'll see what happens. I have to say another shiur at 9:15, so I only have 15 minutes for questions.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens. Okay. Anybody else want to ask something?
Okay.
If nobody else does, then you can stay on.
Okay.
Hello. Hello. Anybody else? Okay.
Rob can't hear me?
I hear you.
Okay, so my question is, I'm contemplating davening at an outdoor minyan. I don't know how well I'll do outside for an extended period of time, and I know that we do not drink nor after we daven shacharis unless we've had kiddush. I haven't looked into whether or not they're doing kiddush. If you're outdoors, is the halakha still the same? That should I hydrate myself first?
First, how far away is the outdoor minyan from where you live?
A 10-minute walk.
Well, I would suggest that you do. Is that you bring with you some grape juice and some cake, and you are allowed to make kiddush when they're saying chazaras hashatz for shachris.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all. And then you can hydrate yourself.
Okay, very good. I thank the Rav. And also,
don't wait till you're thirsty.
I realize that. Right here. Appreciate it.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
About if you're davening and you're trying to concentrate, but you're also looking after kids, and a kid is crying, is your obligation to stop and just look after the kid and just, or are you supposed to say, you know what, I need to finish the tefillah? Like, how much are you supposed to say, forget it, I'm a mother and therefore I'm looking after my children, and how much are you supposed to say?
Okay, I'm going to answer your question with something I heard from a great-grandson of the Chafetz Chaim. Okay? The great-grandson of Chafetz Chaim told me that his grandmother, the Chafetz Chaim's daughter, was davening Shmona Esrei, and one of her kids started to cry. And the Chafetz Chaim went over to her in the middle of Shmona Esrei and said, take care of your kid. Okay? How's that for a pretty blunt answer? Now, I just want to... One second. I want to just tell you this. I'm right now speaking with conviction, and I believe what I'm saying is 100% true. Who said that you're supposed to be davening? In other words, your your obligation is for your children. That's all. And if there's extra time, then you could daven. But this idea, if you can balance both, and I use as an example, the girl, the lady, whatever it is, she has to feed the kid a bottle, and it takes the kid 7 minutes to finish the bottle, and it takes her 6.5 minutes to say Shmona Esrei. So she goes, Shtayim Shalosh Ve, and she puts the bottle to the kid's mouth, and then she starts Shmona Esrei, and then all of a sudden the bottle falls in the middle of Shmona Esrei, and he goes, oof. Who are you trying to fool? Who are you trying to fool? Now, obviously, if a person can daven, they should daven, and you should try to make time to daven. But your first obligation is to your children. That's your obligation. And 1 second, it's a mitzvah. Those are Hashem's children. Okay? They're just on loan by you. You're just a babysitter. That's all you are. They're Hashem's children, and He wants you to take good care of them. And the reason why you're putter from davening is because you're supposed to be taking care of His kids. So what you're asking me is, so being that I want to goof off of my job, can I do off my job, or I should do my job? That's the question you're asking. And I want you to know something, that I'm just telling this to you now. I really believe that, sometimes I'm asked about ladies who work and jobs and commitments, what is the most important time in a mother's day with her child? And I say it's when the kid comes home from school, when the kid wants to unload. If you're there for him those 10 minutes, you can do way more than 10 hours some other time. That's a time which the kid is looking for that bond. Sometimes when the kid needs something, that's when he needs his mother. So, and I'm saying it's true, that is your mitzvah. That is your mitzvah. If you can daven also, it's a wonderful thing. But there's a reason why women are pater and men are chayiv. If you can do it also, it's great. But it shouldn't be ala cheshbon. It's like the person eating dessert without eating the meat.
What's wrong with
Sorry, but you asked, you got the answer.
that? Yeah, no, I actually read that the Chofetz Chaim's wife, from my understanding, didn't daven. I just didn't daven while she had little kids. She said you're pater from davening.
That's right. That's right. But I want to tell you something else. And I'm going to tell you, this is actually, I'm telling you something that my wife told me. She should be well. And this is a very big mussar for everybody. She told me the following story. I have no idea who the person she's talking about is or was, whatever. She said she had some friend that had some kind of a tzara that happened. And because of that, she wasn't able to daven. She spoke to Rav, and the Rav said not to daven. Wait till, it passes. And a half year went by, and Baruch Hashem, that tzara passed. And the lady opened up the siddur and started to daven again. And it was cold. She wasn't able to connect. It wasn't working. And she called my wife for chizuk. And my wife said to her, okay, I understand the Rav said that you're pater from davening, but I'm sure that when you went to do something that was purposeful, you said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu helped me. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he was with you in your day, in your tefillas all the time. Your person's always supposed to be davening to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the lady said, no, I don't say that. I don't do that. And my wife didn't say anything to the lady, but she came to me after. She said, how could it be somebody doesn't ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu for help in what they're doing? And when she told this to me, I told her that one of the great darshanim from many generations ago said as follows. Chazal say, Halavai sheyispala la'adam kol hayom kulo. Tefillah is so important. Halavai, that we daven the whole day. And he said, what it means doesn't mean that you should be having tefillah formally 3 times a day, or tefillah formally a whole day. No, halavai, you should be davening all day long. Everything that you do you should have a little tefillah when you say it. And those tefillahs are actually more personal than the tefillahs that are standardized in the siddur. You want to have your personal connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you should be doing that. You know, say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, help me. And that's what a mother could do. The Chavetz Chaim's wife, maybe she didn't say Shemona Esrei, but she davened all the time. Okay?
Yeah, it's just hard. It's harder on Rosh Hashanah when the focus of the tefillahs kind of help you connect to the specific essence of the day rather than the all-round day where you're like.
So, yes, I'll try to answer you. I'll try to answer about this. Well, your question brings to mind the story of a very big Rebbe, and this Rebbe had a small shul in the in the country, and the cows, when they used to come back from grazing, they used to go through the property of the shul, and the walkway was full of their refuse. And the Rebbe came to shul. Usually it was before everybody else, and he would shovel it all away so that people would be able to come to shul. And one day someone came to shul and caught him with his hands full of the manure. And they said, Rebbe, what are you doing? And he lifted up his hands that were full of manure and he said, Niki kapayim ulevar lebo. These are clean hands. What you see over here, these are mitzvahs. I am cleaning the walkway for people to come to shul. You could be, excuse me, changing diapers, right? That's better than cleaning up the refuse of cows, right? And that's a wonderful mitzvah. And that's part of what the day is about. We have to, and I want to tell you something. It doesn't take much to prepare ourselves in advance. If you prepare yourself, before you go to sleep at night, look a little bit over the tefillahs of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. When you'll have those few minutes to snatch on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, you'll be able to get into it because you prepared. These are like stretching exercises. If you stretch in advance, you'll be able to get into it. Otherwise, you'll have cramp. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, anybody else?
Yes, I have a question.
Please.
I have a question. Yes. I just thought of it. I was at a shiur. I went to a shiur that the person mentioned, the woman mentioned that if you daven at home on Rosh Hashanah, that you're not supposed to say Musaf until 3 hours, till
after 3 hours. After 3 hours.
Of the day. So she said that was around 9:30. Is that correct?
I think so. I can tell you in a minute if I find my phone. Here we go. Times. 9:30. Yeah. It's
okay.
on 9:30.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Have a ksiach sivatay with you all. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for the
Thank you
show.
very
Okay.
much.
Thank you.
Okay. Call to the light. Okay. If you want.